Let's create this beautiful erasable chalkboard with all of our favorite products from Debi's DIY, clay and chalk-based paint, Iron Orchid Designs, and Fusion Mineral Paint. So the first thing that I do is I'm just going to use some masking tape. This is like 1.5 inches, I think. I'm going to make a nice wide border all around my board. And I am going to paint this interior because I'm thinking what I want to do is I almost want to create a funky, cool chalkboard look with this when it's all said and done. So I'm just going to take my paint and I'm just painting this whole thing in. And through the magic of TV, used to love watching cooking shows, and they would just pull trays of baked cookies right out of the oven, or bread, right? I'm gonna this has dried, and I'm just gonna pull my tape off, and you can see I made a nice frame. And we have already prepped in advance a bunch of molds, just little chunks and pieces. This is with IOD air dry clay. I just used whatever I could find that kind of gave me this sort of a look. Look at this. I mean, that could practically come out of one of these. It's so cool. So I just used my air dry clay, and I've created a whole bunch of pieces. But I'm going to show you one of the things that I did is when we pop our molds out here, I might not necessarily use an entire mold, okay? So like here, there's this nice big element right here in Classic Elements. Maybe I'm just gonna use this. When we actually are finding these little chunks and pieces and parts, you can see they're broken off. See that? Because that's just what happens with furniture that's hundreds of years old. And I'm only going to use just a little section of this. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Okay, so I press it down completely with my thumbs. And then I'm going to take just a credit card, and I'm going to slice it kind of from the center out with a putty knife. I use a credit card. They're just really handy, an old gift card, whatever. And see, I only used a section of that, and I'm going to pop that out, and there we go. Okay. Also, like with trimmings, I might just use just the end of a piece. We don't want the whole thing. Not in this case. I want this to have a really random, organic, collected look. I remember, oh my gosh, I remember that frame so well from Anthropology. And I was so struck by it because we had all of this stuff that we collected. And I just thought, what a cool idea. Now we can do it using IOD clay. So only a little fragment of it. See that? So I'm just going to start to lay out these molds. And I used a lot of them. I really don't want them to be symmetrical or perfect. Look, I'll even just use a little piece of this. But I'm just going to start building up some layers. If it goes off the edge a little bit, to me, that's just even better. once it gets painted and has different textures and layers over it, it's really like that depth and the aging, antiquing that'll go like kind of fill in down underneath is really gonna be cool. Like it's gonna be cool.
Yes.
To have those highs and lows.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how you'll do
and
that.
And with the molds, we're just creating a lot of really awesome textural elements. So I'm gonna just take my same background color here. I mean, these molds, I probably did them about an hour, like in the last couple of hours. So they have a little bit of a crust that's formed over them, which makes it, so that I can brush over them and not be so careful with it. And we don't do perfect here. We always say at L&J Goods.
But we don't want raw wood.
We don't, no, but it won't be. In the end, it won't be. But we don't do perfect at L&J Goods. We do pretty perfect. And we just kind of go with it. If you make a mistake or if you think you've made a mistake, we just kind of go for it. I am repeating certain elements like the trimmings. See this? Here and there. This kind of gives you visually a little cohesiveness with those vertical and horizontal parts and pieces that we put on here. The other thing that I'm repeating quite a bit is the acanthus scroll. Okay, and I'm gonna press most of it out with my thumbs. And then I'm gonna use a credit card, gift card, a thank you for your order card. And I kind of work from the center out. I don't want to pull it like this because then you run the danger of it pulling away from the edges. See that? So I'm just using my micro rim to glide along. And then I pop that right out. Look at that. I'm so not like perfect with these because I am trying to emulate these old broken bits and parts of actual old molding. So I'm gonna slice those off. I might do that right. Okay, so there we go. In all that chatting, we got this much done, and
Oh yeah, tipped up. You can see it much, much better. That is so cool.
I will finish off the edges. We're gonna let this dry. It does make a nice surface, and so here's what I did. And this is what I do all the time. I don't have, actually I did these boards right here. This was a green chalkboard. And I just
this is not an actual
ash.
Chalkboard that's all painted.
Yeah, this is ash. And then, and I put about 3 or 4 coats of the Fusion Clear Tough Coat. This is the matte sealer. And you might be getting a little glare just because of the lights we have.
Not too much.
But I usually put about 3 to 4 coats of this. I let it dry completely between. That is how I create my erasable chalkboard surface. I just grabbed some colors that I thought would be fun to layer up, and I'm just going to randomly here and there. I'm going to not worry if I get it onto this black because this is a very rusticy kind of look that I'm going for. It's pretty cool because and see here, I can just wipe that, and I will do that as I go because I really wanted these molds to kind of look like they were coming down over.
The first color that I apply is Debi's DIY chalk and clay-based paint in Apothecary. I'm brushing it over the IOD molds that are around the outside of my frame and wiping any excess off of the black chalkboard area as I need to. When that Apothecary layer is dry, I'm going to brush a layer of Kissing Booth over all of the IOD molds. I'm not concerned about having full coverage. I want some of that Apothecary layer to show through. And I'll wipe up any excess from the chalkboard with a damp cloth as I go.
So this is just a damp cloth, And this is so cool because you can wet distress this. I love this about this paint. And reveal some of those layers that are underneath, depending on how much you rub off.
That's so cool.
Isn't that neat? This is Cowboy Coral, and I'm just kind of hitting some high spots.
Beautiful.
Almost like dry brushing, but man, I love how that green is also popping through.
Yes.
It really has a cool look to it.
Using the Iron Orchid Designs typography stamp, I'm going to lay out a message on my chalkboard.
This is the erasable chalk. When you're buying this, guys, if you walk into a shop, make sure that you're getting the erasable liquid chalk versus the mixing white. The mixing white is permanent.
Yes, we do not want that.
And I'm going to take my brayer.
Do you want a magic eraser so you can show?
Oh
how it
no,
wipes
because
off?
I'll wipe it right off with a cloth. With that. Yep. Okay, so I actually like using a brayer with these versus putting this into like actually I feel like it needs a little.
Oh my goodness.
I just feel like it needs a little something.
Well, you don't have any coral over here.
Oh, I'll do that. Okay. So I'm gonna center this up.
Now she is a wild woman. I would put lines or something to make sure it's straight.
Because
but
guess
she
what?
is.
If I make a mistake, like that V is off, but I don't care because it's erasable, and I can take it off. I mean, look.
That is pretty cool.
Look at that, how that wipes right off. If this is dry, you can wipe your hand across it and it's not going to come off. But if you wet it, it will. So, love my... I'm just freestyling it right now.
Yeah. Crazy woman.
Oh, Megan said there was not enough coral over here. So
Well, there was no coral.
there was a little. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And my paint is kind of thick and chunky. I don't mind that.
Same with over here. There's no coral.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get to that part. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing to this to kind of tie it all together as a kind of chalkboardy look. Boy, I love that.
I love it, love it, love it.
It's so cool. And I do look, we were worried about that black underneath and what it would look like, but I like it.
It looks awesome. So now would you wax this or something
That's
afterwards?
exactly what I'm going to do,
Okay.
dear heart. But see, I can, if I take my finger and I can just wipe back some of this to maybe just get to like the green underneath. If I can. So of course I don't know where the green is. It's not stinky at all. But
Have you encountered a stinky wax in your day?
Yes, I have. We used to use stinky wax all the time, and I don't like it. This is white decrepit dust. I'm just gonna sprinkle some of this in here.
Oh, crazy.
If I buff this, oh my gosh. See that shine that comes out?
Yes.
But I'm still like getting some of that chalky white look.
That dust is pretty cool. That's unlike anything we've had here.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Now, is that going to be a problem? What's
No,
going
it's
on
not
here?
at all because look, I don't care. I want it to look like a chalkboard. Anyway, so here it is, you guys. I created this beautiful erasable chalkboard with kind of a boho
Lori
finish.
said it has made it look softer and more romantic with that dust, and I totally agree.
I think so too. I think you just have to, like with most things, you have to go lightly and then add more as you need it to create effect. So all I need to do is come with a damp cloth
Yes.
and wipe it back.
It is cool.
And then
it really
see,
is.
you're ready to like do a whole other message.
But
Now,
if there is a little bit left, like that, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser works
Mr.
perfect.
Magic Clean Eraser.
That's exactly right. That's the Mr. that we love also. Another Mr.
Mr. Mr.
All of the products that we used for the erasable chalkboard are available at ellenjgoods.com.